Hello, 6th graders. In this video, I'll explain how to do the Pangaea fossil and mountain chain evidence activity. Now for this activity, you will need 6 different coloring supplies. It doesn't matter what type of coloring supply as long as you have 6 different colors. You'll need scissors, you'll need glue, you'll need a piece of larger construction paper, and you'll also need this sheet right here. This is not an activity you can put in your digital notebook, and it would be pretty tricky to make your own copy, so you'll need to print this at home if you are absent or pick up a copy in class. So why don't you go ahead and pause this video and get all those materials ready to go. Now, in this activity, we learned a little bit about Pangaea. Remember, Pangaea is what scientists think the world used to look like. Now a map has all of the continents separated, but in the past we think that they may have all been one big supercontinent with all of the continents joined together, called Pangaea. Now we've already learned about that, but today we connected it to fossils and mountain chain evidence, and how scientists use fossils and mountains to make theories about what the world used to be like. So that's what this activity is all about. Now, the first step says label each continent with its name. So there are 2 countries that are already labeled, India and Greenland, and we need to go through and write the name of each continent on here. Now, let's go ahead and start with this continent up here. This is actually 2 continents put together. Now, what 2 continents are actually connected in one landmass? That's Asia and Europe. So go ahead on your own sheet of paper, record those names, making sure you spell them correctly and capitalize their names. Hopefully you recognize this continent here because it's the one that you live on, North America. Do you recognize this continent down here? This one is Africa. What about over here? This one is Australia. Do you recognize this continent? South America. And last but not least, on the South Pole, we have Antarctica. So why don't you go ahead and pause this video, make sure all of your continents are labeled, correctly spelled, and capitalized. I'm going to go ahead up here and cross off step 1 because I've already done step 1. Step 2 says, color the fossils or mountains in the legend. Now a legend is a key, and our key is down here. You can pick any 6 colors that you'd like, or you're welcome to pick the same colors that I am. I'm going to color the European flora red, the cynognathous reptile orange, the Lystrosaurus reptile yellow, the Glossopteris plant green, the Mesosaurus reptile blue, and the Alpine Mountains brown. Go ahead and pause this video and color your key with whatever colors you'd like. If I go back up to my directions, I've just completed part of step 2 that says to color the fossils or mountains in the legend. But now it continues and says, and color the symbols on each continent in the colors of the legend. So I now need to find these symbols on the map and color them the same color. Like here, the European flora is this little flower-shaped plant. So I'm going to go ahead and find that on the map. There's some up here in Europe, so I'm going to shade this whole area red because that's what I said it would be on my key. There's also some here in Greenland. I'm going to shade that in red as well. Antarctica. There's a little bit here in North America. None in Africa, none in Australia, none in South America, none in India, so I am done with my red. I'm not going to finish coloring this right now, but I'm going to have you go ahead and finish coloring this. Look at each of these colors down here in your key, find them on each of the continents, and color them these colors. Now that you have your sheet of paper colored, you have completed step 2. Now what you've just done is you have colored where these fossils are found on each continent. So here where we colored the European flora right here, here, and here, it means that particular fossil is found on these 3 areas. And everything else you colored shows where those other types of fossils are found. Let's see what our next step is. It says I need to cut out the continents. I'm going to start off by doing that. Now, I know that may seem overwhelming because some of these continents have many, many little nooks and crannies that would be hard to cut. The good news is you don't have to cut into each of those little nooks and crannies. Cut closely to the continent, but it doesn't have to be that perfectly detailed. Like for example, down here on Australia, that you'll see there's a line around Australia, which shows you an example of how closely you should cut to the continent. So why don't you go ahead and pause your video and cut out your continents. All right, you'll see that I've done the same here. Now, if you look at my continents, you'll see that I cut relatively close. I didn't cut in every single little nook and cranny, but I cut them closely enough. If you look at how you cut yours and you think, man, I didn't cut it that carefully, my cut lines are a little bit further away, then I would recommend taking some time to cut them kind of like I did, just because it'll make this activity a whole lot easier. Also make sure that you cut out your key because you'll need that as well. Let's go ahead and look at our directions and see what we need to do next. We're on step 3. We've cut out the continents. And it says now we need to match up the fossil and mountain evidence to recreate Pangaea. So the reason we've assembled Pangaea the way that we have is because we used fossil evidence. Let me show you an example of what it means to match up the continents. Take a look at South America and Africa. Present day, these are separated by an ocean. But in the past, when Pangaea was a supercontinent, they think that maybe these 2 continents would have been together. Now let's think of why they thought that. Take a look at the outline of South America and the outline of Africa. It looks like they fit together like puzzle pieces. And what's else? Fossils on South America can be found in Africa as well. Take a look at this. The orange matches up with the orange, the green with the green, and the blue with the blue. That's why scientists think that the continents were once a supercontinent, because fossils that are only found in one area can also be found in another area on a continent that's now much further away. So what you're going to do is you're going to take all of these pieces here and you're going to try to match up the colors as if you're putting a puzzle piece together. So like I here matched up orange to orange, green to green, blue to blue. It's okay to get them nice and close together. It's okay even to overlap a little bit if you need. So why don't you go ahead, pause this video, and try to puzzle piece together Pangaea. And if I look here at the directions, I've now completed step 3. Now my last step says I'm going to glue the continents into place on construction paper. Before you do that, let's see if you did your Pangaea correctly. It's kind of challenging to match up the continents, and I don't want you to glue them down incorrectly. So what you need to do is you need to pause this video. On Canvas, I have linked a link to what this puzzle piece should actually look like. There is a correct answer. So why don't you pause this video, click on that link, and do any rearranging if you got your Pangaea matched up incorrectly. Now that you know how Pangaea should be assembled, you need to get a piece of construction paper or some other larger piece of paper where you're going to glue down your continents. First things first, let's make sure that we write our name and our period. I'd also like for you to title this Pangaea. This is a very commonly misspelled word, so make sure that you spell it correctly. So I've put a title. I also want you to glue down your key. You can glue down your key wherever you'd like as long as it's present there on your map. I'm going to go ahead and put my key right there. You'll now take your puzzle pieces and you'll glue them down together in our one big supercontinent of Pangaea. Make sure you don't glue them down just any old way. Make sure the way that you glue it down matches the example that I've left on canvas. And congratulations, once you've done that, you've completed this activity and you've made Pangaea. If you are absent, you can take a snapshot of what you've made and email it to me, or you can bring your completed copy to class. If you have any questions, either re-watch this video or send me an email. Otherwise, have a great day.